What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of What You Gonna Watch. Yes, it's been a little longer than I had hoped, but it's alright. We're gonna have to make it work. So for this episode, for the next 3 episodes actually, we're doing the Paddington series, because if you aren't aware, Paddington in Peru was recently released sometime last year. So yeah, we're gonna do all those because I love Paddington personally, so he deserves an episode or 3. So to starting off, not much has changed with how we do these episodes, but I've had some time to think and just work on things. So yes, it's 6 categories, 6 stars each. They're gonna get 2 different kinds of ratings. So for Paddington 1, I gave it a 34 out of 36. So in total, out of 6 stars, it basically got like a 5.6, averaging it out. So yeah, and so we also changed the categories and what it gets categorized into, because I felt like the other ones just weren't very good enough and it only applied to like certain shows. So yeah, we're doing it a little differently. And the first thing is writing and story, which is kind of like the plot, the pacing, and the dialogue and all that stuff, which I gave a 6 out of 6. So basically for like writing and story, in the beginning and through the end, it's basically just Paddington trying to find a home, really. With him getting like not entirely separated, but separated from his aunt just because she's a little too old to travel, But just more importantly, nothing really seemed rushed. More or less, it's kind of seemed like they had a bunch of time, and it kind of seems like that throughout the entire series of the movies, really. But also Paddington is just really a funny movie, and it works with children and adults, really any age. Who doesn't love Paddington? And as a lot of people know, which I'll get into later, but basically he's been a part of a lot of people's lives as children and stuff like that, and being able to have it into a movie like they did with these series has allowed a lot more people, like myself included, who didn't grow up reading Paddington. I grew up watching Paddington, because I don't think I've read a single Paddington story. It'd be kind of cool to do that though, but I haven't read any Paddington stories. I've only seen the movies, and which is really nice because it is able to introduce Paddington to a lot of individuals where he becomes like a big character in their life. Cause I know I love Paddington. Every time my Waze, I can't even pronounce it, thing for driving, the voice and the character is Paddington's boat and the voice is Paddington, which is actually so funny and it's so nice actually. But basically from middle, end, beginning, all that jazz, it all pretty much seemed in place. It didn't really seem like there was anything missing, and it's kind of interesting how each of the stories shows a little bit different of his life as like a cub, how he got adopted, I guess, like how he got there in the first place to getting adopted, what it was like after, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the writing and story I think was also just really good, and I'm pretty sure the movies are also just based on the book, so they already have some kind of like a idea of whatever of how to do and stuff like that. So it's all like pretty good, and it's really nice. I 110% recommend this movie and all the other 3 too. Alright, so next up we have performance, which is like the acting, the voice acting, chemistry, all that stuff, which I gave a 5 out of 6. So this one was pretty close to being a 6 out of 6, but just like a few things, like the villain and stuff, like everyone's performance was really good. Like Ben's performance as Paddington, the classical Paddington voice is literally amazing. But one of the villains though, or like I guess, well the main villain, didn't really have a strong have a strong impression acting wise. Like it was a little cartoonish, which worked for the tone, but I don't know, it was just kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, like the way that the movie is based off. I don't know. I guess it makes sense, but I just decided to give it a 5 out of 6 for that, because everything is really good. I mean, her performance and everything is still really amazing, but it's just the way that it's kind of like portrayed. And it is also the first movie, so I don't really know if this counts as something to help remove a star from, but also since it's the first movie and like the chemistry from like the family wasn't entirely fully developed yet, so yeah. But from what I've seen and read and watched and all that stuff, the actors and directors and everybody knows how important Paddington is to people everywhere, and a lot of the people like the cast, the directors, producers, everyone was kind of saying how they were just really happy at the idea of working on the project, and as well as just being able to bring Paddington to life. And the acting from pretty much everybody was really amazing. I mean, they had to act like a bear was there the whole time when he really wasn't, which makes me wonder how that kind of went. Was it like a green little pill thing, for all those game devs out there? You start a project and you start with a little like pill-shaped little capsule thing. Is it just like a little, is he a little capsule, or is he just not there at all and it's just, okay. So the next thing up halfway there would be visuals and style. So like the animation, the color, the cinema, I cannot pronounce this word, the cinematography. Don't you fret, I know what I'm doing. Anyways, but I gave that a solid 6 out of 6, because the movie had quite a lot of effects, entire like whole flooding the bathroom. It all entirely travels like the entire way down the stairs. The color, like Paddington himself in general, was really nice. Like I don't know, he almost looked like as if he was actually there, as if he almost did leave those paw prints leading to the boat. Then the sound effects, voice effects, virtual effects, all the effects, all really nice. They all went really well together. None of them clashed. There wasn't too little, there wasn't too much. It was just all really nice. And there's like a lot of color in here, especially in the beginning when they make the marmalade, and like the oranges are so orange. Paddington's hat is so red, so like there's like a lot of different colors in there, a lot of vibrance. It's all really nice. Alright, next up would be the emotional impact, which I gave another 5 out of 6, which I don't know why I gave those two a 5 out of 6. I really feel like these should all just be 6 out of 6s, but yeah, there's just like those little things there that kind of make it go down, and I can't really put a half star, so it's got to be just 1 star less, so yeah, we're just doing that. So the reason that I gave emotional value a 5 out of 6 anyways, because Paddington is a bear who knows how to make you feel things, right? Like he likes to see the good in people, he can be really sad sometimes. He has his little I don't know if it should be called a death stare, his mean stare, or whatever it's called. So yeah, he pretty much only really gets sad when he thinks the Browns don't want him anymore, which, oh my gosh, of course I'm gonna save it for the last episode, but in the last movie, whenever, I don't even want to like give too much away now, but just the last movie, and the like towards the end when he asks the question, and like it's crazy, like it's like so much suspense, because it's like you know exactly what he's gonna ask you, and then it's like nope. So yeah, no, it's just very interesting. But also, as this is a little bit more of a whimsical movie, another reason is kind of like watching it, there wasn't really a time, actually, I don't know, watching the other two movies, I've cried probably about once each per movie. I cannot remember if I cried at all during this movie, but also just for the most part, it's just like a happy movie, Paddington makes you smile, he makes you laugh, he doesn't really make you sad or cry, unless you're watching the second or the third movie. Which I didn't say before, emotional impact was basically like how it made you feel, the depth of it. So like, again, it was just very happy, like sure it made you feel happy, but that's just what I'm saying. It's just a happy movie, which is good, but like happy was like the only emotion really, almost, pretty much, kinda, sorta, ish. Alright guys, second to last category, which is the entertainment value. How into it were you? Rewatchability, which I gave this a 6 out of 6 stars. Because actually, while writing the scripts, or not script, these like little notes I gave myself, I told myself that I wouldn't watch this movie again, right? It's just a little refresher, because I needed to just see like some certain parts in it, right? Because the time I was writing this, it was the 30th, so it was like, today currently is July 9th, I think. I did this July 30th, so like about 9 days ago, because I saw the second movie like 9 days ago on the 30th, and so I told myself, since I watched the second one, I wasn't gonna watch the first one, because I just needed to see the beginning, but I ended up getting caught up in how good it was, so I just decided to watch the whole movie, and it did not disappoint. So yeah, this was definitely a movie where you did not need to check your phone during the boring parts, because there weren't really any boring parts. Kind of kept you entertained, engaged the entire time. So yeah, why would you want to look away from Paddington when he's like, brushing his teeth? or not his teeth, brushing his ears with a toothbrush. You know, it just keeps it interesting because you never know what Paddington's gonna do, unless you've seen the movies before, of course, or the books, I guess. But yeah, the entertainment value was an easy 6 out of 6 because it's just, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Paddington because I don't know, but I know I've seen it quite a few times because it's very rewatchable. You know, again, it's good for any audience, almost any, like, scene you're in. Unless you're trying to watch a scary movie, Paddington will work for everybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. Okay, and the last category is cost versus production. Basically, how much did it cost to make it, like what they made from it, versus the popularity, which I gave a 6 out of 6, because Paddington had a budget of $55 million, right? And it was showcased in, I don't know exactly how accurate this number is, but at least 3,000. It was shown at about 3,303 is what the number is, so I don't know how accurate that is, out of 3,355 theaters. And then on opening weekend, making about $25.2 million, which is only about 13% of the total gross income, which they made only over a 4-day weekend, because it was Martin Luther King holiday weekend that they made the $25 million. And in total, they made about a gross income of probably over 200 million. I've seen a lot of 200 millions, but, you know, it's probably just rough estimate. So, or somewhere around like 2,000. So, yeah. But basically, so that gives an overall review of 34 out of 36, or a solid 5.6 stars. So, yeah, now on to the other things, a little bit more about it, the description, all that stuff. So, Paddington, this was released in 2014, is when the first movie was released, but it's been around since 1958, appearing first in a children's book called A Bear Called Paddington, which there's about 29 books featuring him, and the last one was published in 2018 called Paddington at St. Paul's. I might, dig into some of these books, but for right now, the movies are good. Which they were all written by Michael Bond, as from what I've found, they were all written by the same person. I don't think he did. I'm not 100% sure if he did any of the illustrations and stuff, because there were other illustrators, so I'm not 100% sure if he just wrote it or not. But yeah, there's that. And then the description of the show is as follows. A young Peruvian bear travels to London in search of a home. Finding himself lost and alone at Paddington Station, he meets the kindly Brown family who offer him a temporary haven. In which we all know temporary pretty much means permanent, because there is another 2 more movies that come after that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to Season 2, Episode 13. I'm your host, Tanasia, and I appreciate you listening. Hopefully you made it this far. I really appreciate it. That'd be kind of cool if you did. You could become part of the cool club. For real. Just kidding. I'm sorry. Anyways, appreciate you. Make sure you follow along with this podcast so you could keep updated with all the newest shows that come out. Am I catching up on some of the older shows right now? Yes, but that's a good thing, because you're gonna find a show that you like, and I give most of the shows a good rating anyways, which I feel like kind of defeats the point. But that's just because I really only watch the good movies. Really only watch it. So yeah, in the genre, I don't know if it's all of these 3 movies, but they are action comedy movies or adventure comedy movies. I mean, some of them have more genres, like 5 or 6 genres, but they all basically fall along that. So anyways, thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode, probably about Paddington again.